All right, here we go. Da-ba-dum-bum-bum. Ba-bum.
I'm a survivor.
I'm Jeff Varner from Survivor's Australian Outback in Cambodia. You know, when Abby's acting up, Gandhi is storming off, or Deb is looking for rocks somewhere, you are exactly where you need to be. Oh my God, this is delicious. Who needs food when you've got Dwayne and David? This is Survivor Talk with D&D.
So if you feel me, put your hands in
Welcome to Survivor Talk with D&D. I'm Dwayne.
And I'm David.
And we're just two best friends talking about the show we love, Survivor. Welcome to the show, and welcome to our special guest, whom, while the survivors didn't realize it while they were on the beach, he was hovering over them, just his head. Jeff Pitman. Hello, Jeff Pitman.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm special.
Yes, you are. Jeff Pitman from TrueDorkTimes.com. Ladies and gentlemen, that's www.truedorktimes.com. In about
Thanks
every single possible stat you could possibly want. Why am I still doing this? Every single possible stat you could ever want from Survivor, Jeff has put on his site. Jeff, do you have a life?
Not much of one now.
No. Okay. All right.
Not during Survivor season anyway.
No. Well, your site does really well. So we're happy to have you on the show. You've always got great insight on your site. So we thought. Last time we had you on, Andy Baker was on at the same time, and you didn't get a word in edgewise. So we're hoping this time.
So we ended that show promising ourselves we're going to have just Jeff back on one time.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yes.
And we love it. We love Andy. Don't get us wrong.
Oh, yeah. We love Andy. Although, the dude didn't watch Wednesday night. So, as you know, Andy and Steve Helling and me and David have this little group that we chat in all the time. And, yeah. You don't know that, David?
No.
We mentioned it last week. But anyway, Andy has decided to be on a Facebook hiatus because he hasn't watched the episode yet. So
Andy's turning into such a casual.
I know. He's such a casual fan. He's not even looking at the edit or anything. He's just enjoying seeing people put out fires and stuff. All right, tonight we're going to do an episode 10 recap and discussion. Listener feedback, we have 6. iTunes reviews, a look at the life at Ponderosa in our segment
Pondering Ponderosa.
And, of course, updates on David's power ranking battle with Colton. Yeah, where David is rocking it. And, of course...
And
of course, the D&D Survivor Challenge. Is David trying to say something? Are you trying to say something, David?
I said there is movement in the rankings battle, yes.
Okay. All right.
We lost your camera, so I'm not sure where you're going.
Oh, I'm still here. Can you see me, Jeff?
I can see you.
Yeah.
Okay, there he is.
All right. Some are watching live on our website at stwdd.com/live. Enjoy the chat room. Talk amongst yourselves. And have fun. Hang around at the end of the show. I'll tell you how you can support us simply by clicking that Amazon link or using our Amazon link that we give you or becoming a D&D patron through patreon.com. If you want a Survivor buff like the ones we have back here, Buff USA, there's a link on our website. Use our Survivor Talk 10 and get 10% off. So I do want to do that. But it is time to get to episode 10. I didn't come here to make good friends. All right. What an episode. So, Jeff, since you are our guest, would you like to give initial thoughts first?
Well, my initial thought is this was David versus Goliath. First you have the literal David versus Goliath and tiny little Ty taking down Giant Scott.
Yes.
But it's also more figuratively David versus Goliath, because you have this super-powered super idol and all these other twists that are piled on top of it, and simple alliance building and getting somebody to switch their vote is what took it down.
Yes. That is that in my... Yes, that's one of my initial thoughts. I'll talk about it in a minute. That is awesome. That is right. People always say, how are you going to get rid of the super idol? Well, you saw it tonight. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, do you have any more initial thoughts?
That's a good first to start with.
All right, David?
No, I like that. How do you get rid of it? You get rid of it from within. That's pretty cool. My initial thought for this comes from the whole season, in that credit to casting and editing, because one thing that makes this season so great for me is the diversity of the cast. I don't want to see 18 Aubreys out there playing. You know, all trying to work the social game, all working the strategy game, all finishing second in challenges. I want to see an Aubrey, and then I want to see a Jason, and then I want to see a Julia, who are playing 3 totally different games, and then there's a Ty, and then there's even a Joe. And I think that's why this season is so good, is that nobody's really alike. Everyone is different, and everyone's playing different. So to me, this episode just amplified that even more. The end was crazy fun. It's neat because everybody got to cheer that the so-called villain left, or one of them did, but there's still another one there. And now we get to see how the other one plays when he's by himself, or without his little partner in crime.
Or is he by himself?
Well, he doesn't have his partner in crime, Scott. I'm just saying he's going to have to work some other magic now and find some other friends. Yeah. But you know, now it's going to be interesting because everybody's saying, well, Scott's just acting that way around Jason, and then Jason's just acting that way around Scott. So now we get to see Jason alone, because we got to see Scott alone at Ponderosa. But I still just love this season in the fact that everybody is so different. You know, we always talk about we want to see more strategy players, more strong players. But if everybody's similar and the same, it gets kind of redundant and boring. And where these people are playing different strategies in different ways, and that's what we're going to talk about, and I love that.
Awesome. Awesome. So I have a couple initial thoughts. Super Idol actually works against someone. It actually worked against you. Why? Because Scott didn't play his idol in anticipation of the Super Idol. Because of the Super Idol, they didn't play their idols, even though they knew they were in trouble, and boom, he goes home.
Good point.
I mean, we always talk about how the Super Idol is it's not fair and everything, but my goodness, did it ever play into this game tonight? Or last night, it was good. So, there you go. My second initial thought is I am more and more and more convinced that Aubrey can win this thing.
Yeah, I wonder if her light got shown too much last night. Because at Tribal, they constantly talked about how strong she was and how good she was. I mean, yeah, I think she's a great person to put money on, but at the same time, to me, she's got just as big a target as Ty almost. I mean, Ty's got targets, but that's what's so good about this season. Ty's targets are for different reasons. Aubrey's are she finishes second in physical challenges, you know, and she's working people very well. I think Aubrey could very well win this season, but I think she just put a big target on her back, and I wonder if these big players like Aubrey and Ty, who made the big move, and Jason, who's done a lot of physical things, if they get knocked out right towards the end, and then we've got the 3 people that just sat back and waited for these people to shine just to knock them off, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think she had a great night last night.
What do you think, Jeff? What do you think about Audrey?
Well, I'm rooting for Aubrey, but you're right. She's made herself a target, and Jason and Scott were talking about that she's such a threat in the challenges, and that's why they have to get rid of her now. And I hope she does win, but she's already picked up 6 votes, and if she does win, that would make her the winner that has received the second most votes against.
Oh, wow.
And that's why Jeff's here, because we would not know that.
No, I don't know those things. Hey, Jeff, awesome. we had this iTunes review last week. It said, I don't know how much these guys actually know about Survivor, but they're fun to listen to.
Well, I'm kind of the inverse of that.
Yeah, I have already figured out, Jeff, that I am going to have to go, so, Jeff, what do you think? Right? Jeff is not an interrupter, and let me get my thoughts in there.
I'm trying to be polite, Dwayne.
You don't have to be polite.
Oh, don't. We're used to people not being polite. We know certain
come
people,
on,
so
man.
we're used to that.
We've had Dan Foley on the show. We are used to anything. Throw anything at us. We're ready. All right, night 24. Right after Tribal Council, Scott, Jason, and Ty go back. And you know what? Ty's pockets are just too small for that second idol. So,
Hey, for folks that didn't, folks were screaming at the beginning. Hearts were breaking. Ty, no.
Yeah.
Here you go. Officially give it back to you.
He said, I don't have room for it. What? Anyway.
So do you think they were told to say that they're officially giving it to each other so that it didn't look like somebody was stealing it?
Well, they did make a point to, or Jason made a point, or somebody made a point to say, this is exactly what we did, and we said these words.
Okay.
I think they were just overplaying it for the camera. I think they were overacting it, but I definitely think they were making a point of saying, I am officially giving it. And even Ty last week says, I am officially accepting it.
Yeah.
You know, and then sat down with it. So I think that was them, because these guys seem to like to play it up for the camera with the rock, paper, scissors thing and everything they do. So
Yeah.
I think that was just their little inside joke or something that they had.
Right. And by the way, I apologize for calling Aubrey Audrey.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Jeff tried to correct you nicely, but you just didn't.
It was an accident. Jeff is too much like Ty. He's just too polite. Come on, Jeff. Let me have it.
I should have worn my glasses.
Tolly in the chat room was quick to correct me. So, in fact, if our video quality, mine anyway, David's back on his old 1965 Mac.
I call it the Big Mac, yeah.
Yeah, the Big Mac that's like a 13-inch screen, but that time it was huge. But if mine looks better and more in sync, it's because of Tolly Williams. If it's not, it's because of Tolly Williams. Anyway, we spent about an hour on my network stuff the other night, last night, trying to get it, so anyway. All right, so Ty gives back the idol, and just to clarify, my friends, if you are playing in the D&D Survivor Challenge, Ty began the episode with 2 idols, okay? Jason began the episode with 0 idols, okay? Now, about a minute into the show, Jason got one from Ty, but ain't no points for that. So if you're not using our counting and you're just using your own, if you want to know how we counted it, that's how we counted it. Ty had 2, Jason had none. Sorry. So anyway, Jason says our mayhem worked and we still have Super Idol. These guys are very, very confident.
Well,
That's called
absolutely.
a handoff. Go ahead.
Their plan worked last week. They felt their sabotage worked. They took full credit for it, even though the women had a lot to do with Debbie being voted out, because they had nothing to do with Debbie being voted out. But they feel like, and I kind of agree in the sense that Debbie was so adamant about Scott. She went all Jill on him and wasn't willing to change her vote and play something up to strategy. Who knows what they would have gone with? So I kind of agree that their plan kind of worked. They're going to take credit for it whether it worked or not. Three of them are still there. They still have their idols. They're taking credit.
Oh, yeah. Not only are they going to take credit, they're going to take credit at least 8 times in an hour.
Yeah, I'm not sure how accurate their plan working actually was, because it seemed a lot more like they were simply targeting Debbie because they didn't really trust her.
Yeah.
Rather than because they were dodging the idol specifically.
Yes, exactly.
See, they know they can trust Joe because he's going to vote where they tell him 24 hours ahead of time. He won't change. He's trustworthy. He's loyal. But Debbie's a thinker. And I loved your first paragraph last week about how we're going to miss Debbie. Whether she was going to win or not, or how far she'd go, she is a character, and she's really good in confessionals, and I couldn't agree more with the way you put that.
So there's kind of a running theme this week, and at least I saw it. Scott and Jason don't understand Ty. Aubrey does. Okay? And it begins right here. Next morning, day 25, Ty is talking to Scott. I think we should get everybody together. Right? And Scott's like, okay, I'll go talk to Aubrey. But Scott and Jason have no desire to get everybody together. But Ty's like, I think it's time to make amends so we can have happy time at camp. So
I found it interesting, 2 points on that. One, before that even started, there's one member of the camp that's looking pretty bad, and that's Mark the Chicken. That dude is really, really thin. Did you see how thin he's getting this week?
yeah, they need to eat the thing.
And if
He's
you
already
watch,
lost a bunch of feathers too.
I know he's molting away. And if you watch the separate scene with Joe where he chases the chicken and tries to catch it or get rid of it, it's always coming back to camp. Now they can't get rid of the thing. They don't need to tie it down anymore.
Yeah.
It won't leave.
Now the thing will like look up at them when they go to kill it and go, but I thought we were friends.
Yeah. But well, I found it interesting that Scott said, "Let me go talk to Aubrey," as in she's the one that represents the people against us. You know, he didn't say, "Yeah, let's have a congregational talk. I'll go talk to Aubrey." So he's kind of, I don't know, maybe this is the opinion of Scott or the opinion of all three, but he just kind of points out who the kind of obvious leader is of the other side.
Yeah. Well, when he does go to talk to Aubrey, what he thinks is mature, and we're showing that we are mature and all this kind of stuff.
Bigger
Aubrey
people.
Aubrey just saw right through that. He's like, as long as he gets what he wants, camp life will be better. Yeah, okay. What'd you think about all that, Jeff? The whole Scott and Aubrey thing.
I thought his approach was a little bit off. It seemed like he was a mobster shaking someone down for protection money.
Yeah, like Godfather.
I also don't really understand what his plan was, because he approaches Aubrey and asks her to do some things for them to be part of their alliance, and then later in the episode, Aubrey approaches Ty and says, "Oh, okay, I'll work with you." And Ty runs back to Scott and Jason and tells them that Aubrey's in. And then Scott's next words are, "Let's target Aubrey."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were trying to hide an obvious out or something to some point about Ty. It was all over the place towards the second half of the episode. And it was like quick reactions. There wasn't really any long discussions or debates. And I wrote down that Scott was holding all the provisions hostage. That's basically what he was doing. You're not getting anything. You're not getting happy us until you give us what we want.
Right.
And they're like the way he said, "We're being mature about this." Like, no, you're not. You're being mafia about it. You're holding things against them until they give you what you want. And you're right. Aubrey's probably one of the more intelligent people playing this game. Whether she's intelligent in life, who knows? But in Survivor World, she's intelligent. And she sees right through it. And she says there's no chance she's ever going to work with the men, but she will let them think that. She's okay with that. And then, but when the time comes to vote her out, she says she's going to be ready to fight, and it's going to be a really big move. And I'm thinking, oh, don't tell too early. Don't tell us too quick that it's going to be a fight for get Scott out. Because to me, that was the only thing that wasn't great about this episode, is that it kind of felt coming early on, especially when Scott started giving confessionals about the guys being hunky-dory and perfect, and then Scott this and Scott that, and then we go, oh, man. But it was still great the way it worked out.
See, I guess I'm just an oddball, but there are very few Survivor episodes that I watch that I like, oh yeah, I knew it the whole time that person was going home. I mean, after the fact, sure, it's easy to say that, but I generally, when I finally see who gets voted out, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm not usually like, yeah, I knew that. So maybe I just don't watch it as closely as everybody else, because so many people are like, oh, I knew it from the first time they said that, and like I saw it on our Facebook group a lot today.
Well, it didn't ruin the episode, and I wasn't locked in on it. I just felt like, oh wow, he's going to be one of the contenders. What I thought was neat was I had no idea how they were going to get there. And
that's true.
And if in my rankings this week, I put Ty at the bottom, and what I predicted was Ty would join the women, would vote with the women, but they would not trust him and vote against him. They'd put the votes on him, which almost happened.
Right.
But at the same time, it would come down to Ty needing the super idol and Jason not giving him his half. So right before Tribal Council, I posted in the string that we keep all the spoilers in and said, uh-oh, I got it backwards. Ty's going to hold his idol and not give it to Scott. And I said, oh. So I was close. I just had completely wrong people going into the final.
Yeah.
Well, with respect to the edit, the thing that tipped me off was when Jason said, Aubrey's going home and there's nothing she can do about it. Because that never works out.
No.
Exactly. And as long as everybody stays faithful, we're perfect.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it's Survivor.
There were a lot of those lines tonight. Yes.
You just ignore him, Dwayne. You have a good blocker. That's
No,
what
I
it is.
just, okay. I like to enjoy things, and so I don't try to figure them out.
I immensely enjoyed this episode. I did. Even though Scott went home, he was on your team, so I didn't care. But no, I still enjoyed the episode. I thought it was great.
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. All right, so let's get to this reward challenge, which I loved. And I don't know if you read Dalton Ross's interview, but this was the challenge team's alternative to the auction.
Yes.
All right, so Probst said, guys, the auction is becoming nothing more than a who can get the advantage. So how can we incorporate love, food, and advantage? And they came up with this idea, which I love. Do y'all like it?
I thought it was a good idea in theory, but I didn't like that it was so many like 2-person or 3-person individual challenges. Those were pretty underwhelming. Like Julia versus Joe, you knew what was going to happen within seconds.
Yeah.
And it happened within seconds.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I'm not even sure if he got his foot on there all the way.
You think it should happen closer to the merge, just to get more people into the mix?
I think it would have been better if there were only 2 choices. Then both of the challenges would have been bigger.
I agree.
Like advantage and then versus food and loved one.
Sure. You can read your letters while you're eating and
Yeah.
wipe your face with them if you don't like them.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with it that this was I love the way they set this up, and this is why Survivor's still on and why it's still great. Because like Dwayne said and Probst said in that interview, the auction is broken.
Yeah.
You know, it turns one way now. That's the word he used, broken. And this is how they fixed it, and this was beautiful. I thought it was just so creative and inventive, and it just put different stress on it. I do like the idea of making it maybe just 2 options instead of 3, because Joe said right away he wanted letters, and in this secret scene he talked about how his girlfriend is, or I guess his girlfriend right now, but is so important to him, and he had to have these letters. This is what he needed. I'm like, Joe, you're gonna see her in like 2 weeks. You know, you're probably gonna get letters when you go to Ponderosa. If you go to Ponderosa, you know, we're talking about playing the game, staying in the game. And I want to wonder why if Julia picked letters, because did she say? I think she has a secret scene too, and I might have forgotten it, but I think she talked about how she knew there wasn't going to be much competition and how important letters were to her to keep going.
Well, I probably, not knowing what my situation is out there, my initial default choice would be the advantage. Now, circumstances might change that, but my first thought would be advantage. That's what I would do.
What'd you take, Jeff?
It depends if you know what the advantage is. If it's a clue to an idol, then you want it. If it's the advantage of the extra vote, then you don't want it.
Well, you don't get to know that when he's
telling
you it's an advantage.
Yeah, Jeff. That's like, if she's going to give you a kiss at the end of the night, then you ask her out. If she's not, then you don't. That determines whether you don't know that, though.
Well, based on recent history, you've got to guess that it's going to be the extra vote. But then they didn't get to see that part of Worlds Apart, and they didn't get to see Cambodia either. So it was a reasonable guess to think it was going to be an idol clue.
Yeah.
So if Jeff gives that reply at Tribal, Probst looks at the editing crew and says, "We're not using that because he didn't answer the question. So we're just going to move on." But I was when I watch live, I also follow Twitter. And for 2 good reasons. Fishback immediately tweeted, "You take the food. You take." and I agreed with him because of course we're hindsight. We've seen the 2 other seasons. You know, taking the advantage is taking the target, putting the target on your back. And letters, I'll see them in 2 weeks, maybe sooner. But I agree. Take the food for the energy, and don't put yourself out like you want to take the lead in the game. But like you said, and I put it on Facebook. This episode was filmed the day after the episode with Dan Foley was aired. So the Bring the Popcorn, that episode 10 aired. The next day, this was filmed in Cambodia with the Kaôh Rōng cast. So they were like 24 hours apart when those 2 things happened. That was pretty cool.
Well, here's an interesting thing.
Actually, I got that from the calendar of Cambodia on True Dark Times. So.
All right, Jeff, is Cambodia ahead of us or behind us?
I have not looked at that. I know that at some point they cross, and it's going to be more than a year after it was filmed that the episode airs, which is going to be a first.
See, I'm just wondering if
I think it's pretty soon to they're going to be airing and having filmed on the same day.
Oh,
One
wow.
of the next few episodes.
See, I'm just wondering if, like, what David was just talking about actually happened at the exact same time.
Oh, because time-wise.
Yeah.
Because they're a day ahead.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Wow, you just took it deeper. Way to go, Dwayne. Good job.
All right. So Julia wins in about probably quicker than Scooping got out on that one challenge where he had a blister on his finger. And then Michelle wins the food and barely has enough time to eat a couple of chips.
And the world's biggest
Ty
hamburger.
Ty wins the long battle, which was actually about 10 or 12 minutes. So
hold on. Is Julia's win the fastest challenge win ever?
Maybe. I don't know. Is it?
I think it has to be.
Yeah, I mean, golly. Wow. I mean, Joe's probably wasn't the fastest out. But because Scoopin said on that one season, they had just put all this antibiotic on his hands, you know, and then he had to hold this thing, and he said, go, and it went, and he lost.
Yeah, he said they gave me a minute on the screen. He said it wasn't that much.
No.
They were being very generous.
So unless Joe just kind of like put his foot there and they said go and it fell, then I don't know. But yeah, that had to be a quick win. Yeah. Oh well. So another thing I liked about Aubrey is how she handled herself during this one. You know, this is about proving myself. This is one heck of a hard game, all this kind of stuff, and she starts talking about that. I just liked it. I liked it.
Aubrey's coming back.
Yeah.
Now you got me doing it.
Aubrey.
So my question now, let me ask about this advantage thing since we're still talking about that. I was on Twitter, and I didn't know this, but Dalton Ross does a Periscope during commercials during the live East Coast feed. Just saw this last night, so I called on to a couple, and he asked that question about Fishback, and then Dan or somebody else asked about it, and I thought they had seen. They were right. He was right that they hadn't seen them yet. So, but if you look in chronological order, they changed it the third time they used it. It went from an extra vote for Dan to an extra vote for Ty to a vote steal for Fishback. And I don't think it's a spoiler, but I wonder how Ty and this advantage progress through this season with them changing it. Because, I don't know, it just makes me wonder if he does not have success, like Dan didn't have exactly success when he tried to use it with that tribal council.
Or Steven.
Or
Steven, for that matter, yeah. But they changed it for Steven, yeah.
I will be surprised if Ty remembers he has it.
That's right, because he said I could go home with this in my pocket and the idol.
I mean, it's gonna be like down to 5 people, and he's gonna go, I'm gonna save this for Final 3. And then he's gonna pull it out like at Final 3 or whatever, and Probe's gonna go, can't use that anymore.
So at Final 5, we're gonna see rocks thrown at Ty, trying to get his attention.
Yeah.
Extra vote, Ty.
Yeah.
Like Jeremy with Keith.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, Ty.
Gosh.
The plan.
Don't you know sometimes either the producers love it when people like Ty get all the advantages and idols, or it just irritates them to death. One of the two. I'm just saying. Because, you know, he's like, what do I do with this thing? You know, and versus someone who's really smart with it.
It would almost be like Joe being it, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, like Joe getting it.
No offense, Joe. He's a sweet guy, but...
Yeah. Why does Joe even go to the challenges? Why doesn't he just... he should bring a note from camp. I am unable to play today. I have permission to sit on the bench.
I have to babysit Mark the chicken.
Yeah. I have permission to sit on the bench. Oh, well.
I did like Ty's reaction to getting the advantage once he read what it was, though, because you can see a steady decrease in the level of excitement from Dan to Steven to Ty.
Yes.
Dan's all, oh yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. And then Steven goes, this is a game changer. And Ty says, oh, this is some extra power. Good.
Yeah.
I don't think Ty knows how to react to some things. It's almost like they were feeding him, Ty, you need to react. We need you to verbally react to this. This is great. Wow, the power that comes with this.
But Ty's reaction is accurate.
It is. I know.
There you go.
This isn't what I thought it would be. This is great.
All right. Now, speaking of people who are a little confused, Scott says this is the best thing that could have happened to our alliance. Now Sydney goes home. And I was like, you realize this is just the reward challenge. This is not the immunity challenge.
Yeah, but they've got 2 idols. They've got a super idol, and now they have an advantage. No, Ty has an advantage.
Yeah.
The group doesn't have the advantage, which we'll learn later.
But, and this just, I just want to say it again. Every time they show us Scott and Jason and Ty does not look comfortable. He looks like he's just, I'm not comfortable with this, and they're just totally oblivious to it. They're just like, oh, we got Ty. We're not worried about Ty. He's going to do whatever we say.
Yeah, this started last week. We talked about how Ty keeps talking about how I really don't want to be that way or act like them. They're so extreme, but I guess I'll go along because it's what the guys want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the guy who doesn't want to throw snowballs at passing cars. And it's just so not his personality. And you finally get him to do it so he'll be part of your group. And he just kind of, just barely. Oh, I missed. But I tried. Oh, I missed.
It's like, Ty, the car's not moving. It's standing right there. You can hit the car. I like what he said at the end. He said he's kind of scared about it but it's like a rich man's dream to have all this power. Then again, I could go home with both of them in my pocket.
I thought he said a rich man's problem.
Right.
Is it I thought he said dream. Maybe he said a problem.
Yeah, rich man's problem. I might go home with 2 in my pocket. That's right.
Now, rich man's problem as in having too much money and not knowing what to do with it.
Yeah. I have so much that I don't even know what to do with it.
But then the rich man did have a problem of going home with 1 in his pocket.
That's right. The millionaire went home with 1.
That's right. All right, day 25. Ty gets his advantage, an extra vote. We just talked about that. Julia reading her letters, an emotional moment, which motivated her. Anything y'all say about that? Okay, good.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Julia talking to Aubrey and Michelle. If we all vote Ty, he'll play it, and guys, we'll vote Sydney out. So here you have Aubrey listening to Julia and Michelle, but Aubrey even says, look, Julia's playing a good game. I can respect that, long pause, but I don't know that I want it next to me. Oh, I'm just loving Aubrey.
This
Aubrey,
is why yeah.
Oh, Aubrey, just come to my house. I'll make you a pumpkin pie. You're just doing wonderfully.
Okay, that's not where I thought you were going. But anyway, this is why I love confessionals, because we get these 3 talking like they're hunky-dory, and then we get Julia talking about which side she's going to work with, and then we get Aubrey talking about how Julia's working both sides. She knows what she's doing. So it's like we get the background scenes of great movies where people actually let you know that they know the other person's not always being up and up with them.
Yeah.
So, but I liked her plan. We need to flush the idols. Let's go after Ty. And what does Aubrey do eventually? She uses it against him. So that's how smart she's playing.
And Julia and Michelle are on the outs. I mean, they're the 2 that voted for Ty. They're not part of this plan that got Scott out. So, do you have anything about day 25, Sir Pitman?
I'm not convinced that Julia's plan was actually to vote out Ty. I think she was intending him to use his idol, and then they were all going to get rid of Sydney.
Well, yeah, she did look back and go, play your idol, play your idol.
Yeah, see, that's something that never came out of the end of that conversation, which is what I think stuck with Aubrey. As in, okay, so if Julia says that to flush Ty's idol, we make him nervous, we put it on him, then that means one of us is going to go. And we never got the end of that conversation. Kind of like, Julia, so what are you thinking about who actually goes at the end of the tribal council?
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting that she never actually came back and said, Sydney goes, Sydney goes. And Aubrey's like, no, that's my closest ally right now. I'm not letting Sydney go.
And why isn't Julia recognizing that the guys are not telling her everything? Because you're right, Jeff. Her plan was not to get out Ty. Her plan was to flush the idol. And then the guys vote out Sydney. Right? That was her plan. But what she didn't know is that the guys weren't going to do that. They were going to play Super Idol.
Right.
It's anyway.
But with Julia at Tribal, and I know we're skipping her a little bit, she was actually saving them from playing both idols by trying to get Ty to play one idol. Now, it wouldn't have worked, but if they had stuck to the plan that Julia threw out, the guys would still have one idol, and Julia would be with the group that has one idol. Or she'd have the option of doing that. So what I wonder is how much trouble she got in after Tribal when they said, thinking, did you see Julia trying to tell Ty to play his idol?
Yeah.
So,
they did show Sydney looking over at her and glaring at her when she was whispering.
Yes. But it's the last 2 weeks she's got an excuse almost when she goes back. Guys, I was trying to get him to flush the idol.
Yeah.
And then Aubrey says, yeah, Sydney, so you could go home. But it turns out I would have gone home, if he had flushed the idol.
Yeah. So day 26 is a sleeping day. It's a siesta day.
I thought we called it a snow day.
Everybody on the island slept, including production, and nothing was filmed. So day 27.
Go ahead. Let me just say, for anybody that wants to get in this game, that wants to learn how to play a social game, you should have taken notes on day 27. Because Aubrey is just making inroads with anybody and everybody that she thinks can help her game.
Oh, yeah.
And what does she do with Ty? She talks about the one thing that she knows he's got a problem with, and that's fitting in. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, Ty, crazy game, huh? Ty's like, yes, finally, somebody else that sees it's a crazy game, and we're just not dealing with this very well.
Yeah.
And she talks about how I'm sitting out here in the grass crying because I wonder if I'm actually built to play this game. And Ty's like, we're in the same church. I'm in the same boat. Yeah. Oh, I found somebody.
Did you read my journal, Aubrey? My journal? But really, she's telling him exactly what he needs to hear.
Yep.
Why? Because she's smart. And she knows how to work with Ty, how to work Ty.
Exactly. And importantly, she's doing that before the challenge, so it's before she actually needs his vote.
Right.
Yep. She's developing that bond.
This is where we start to get hints that Ty is going to go back to the good side, I guess, and leave the dark side behind, because he says he's struggling with lying and cheating, and they talk about it being a fight between your heart and your brain, because your brain tells you the strategy side, your heart tells you the emotional side, and to me, Survivor's always a brain game. It's not necessarily a heart game, and I know the heart has messed up a few people at times, but I think that's a great. She hits every major key point. It's like she heard his confessionals.
Right.
Like, read his journal, but it's almost like she heard his confessionals, and she's hitting it with every emotional key that he's brought up.
I love that she said, I am an alternative to how Jason, Scott, and Julia are playing this game. Good stuff. I'm your alternative. Come to me. All right. And then we get the part that Jeff talked about earlier. Ty's like, I think Scott and Jace are gonna like it, us working with Aubrey. If that's the case, everything is beautiful. And then he goes to Scott and Jason, and what happens?
Shut down city.
Yeah, they just totally ignore everything he just said. I got a better idea. What if we just get rid of Aubrey? and Ty's sitting there going, la la la. He does his little eyes, where
it's like going to your baseball team and say, look, guys, I found this bat that hits home runs every time. And your teammate says, oh, let's burn that bat.
Yeah.
Why do we want somebody strong to join us that's smart?
Yeah. That bat's horrible.
That's right. It's too perfect.
Hey, y'all continue on. I need to go get some water. Sorry.
All right. Well, Dwayne skipped the short little line where Aubrey and Ty are talking as looks like they're walking back. And she makes a great study point to him that we're gonna have to talk at some point, and because the girls want to flush the idols out. It's to me, this is great because she's making Ty feel like he's getting great information from the enemy. She's revealing to him their plan, and just filling him in. Where I don't think Ty is always necessarily in the brain conversations or in the strategy. Do you get that idea that he's part of those big chats? Because he's not with the guys.
Well, that's what he complains about. He gets told what to do by the guys, and his suggestions are heard, and then they come up with something that's the exact opposite.
Exactly. See, I think Aubrey's the one that's cheating. I think she's listening to their conversations or something, because she was just telling him everything that he needed to hear, and she's making him part of it. And then she says, I don't want you gone. I want to work with you. And my first reaction on day 27 would be, where has that been for 26 days? That you want to suddenly work with me, instead of, Ty's reaction was, this is the best thing I've ever heard. This is going to save my game. This is what I've been needing to hear all this time. Whereas the guys just tell me when to play an idol. You actually want to work with me and have my back and protect me. So we were talking about right before Ty went to the beach and talked to the guys, where they had that short little conversation where, like I said, Aubrey continued to tell him exactly what he needed to hear.
Yep. That's right. Okay, anything else? Next we have the immunity challenge. If y'all are ready for it. What'd y'all think? Jeff, did you like this immunity challenge?
I'm not a big fan of all the immunity challenges being just standing in one place and not moving. For one thing, it's really not fair to Joe, because Joe has absolutely no chance. And
That's true.
back in Borneo, they at least had a turn the tiles over challenge for Rudy.
Yeah.
Why can't they have a puzzle? Why can't they have something else?
So was last week's more fair to Joe? Because I don't think he got very far in that one either. Where they had the sway and the dominoes, whatever, sticking up. Because
he had more of a chance, at least.
He did have more of a chance.
Yeah.
That was one where Sloan said he could win the race.
But you know what? It makes you wonder to say, look, guys, we need to save some of these challenges for the end, because right now Joe's going nowhere. So if we just keep throwing these out, Joe can be first out. He's fine with that. He's already agreed. He's not going to worry about trying real hard. So we'll put out these tough ones really early, and then we'll put out the easier ones later.
Yeah.
Where you got a chance.
Well, and this explains why he offered to be the one sitting out, because he would have been out first anyway. But yeah, he's out first, of course, and then 25 minutes later, Scott, Julia, Ty, Michelle are out. 45 minutes later, Sydney's out. I thought Sydney was going to win this.
I did too.
But, man, what an epic battle here at the end, though, between Jason and Aubrey.
I wonder if it's a tight muscle thing versus a heavy muscle thing, because Sydney's in perfect shape. She's obviously, she's a weightlifter, she's a bodybuilder, she does shows, and she's to the point where she came in fit, and she's losing muscle mass. Whereas somebody like Jason and Scott come in and they lose fat weight first, necessarily before they lose all their muscle mass. And Jason still looks in great shape, but man, I thought City would win too, but at the same time, Aubrey, how can you not be impressed with Aubrey? Sticking out that long, both of them having their disc slide back up. Davis and I were on the edge of our seats. He likes Jason for some reason. His favorite line is, and it's got a brother, from the Idol from last week. That's his favorite line of the whole season. Yeah. But we're just sitting there waiting because they keep slipping. And I thought after the 75-minute point, man, that was just an intense challenge. And I liked it then, but I agree with you at the beginning. I wasn't real excited at the beginning. But it had a great, when Probst yells dig at you, yells at you to dig deep. You're in the middle of something good.
Yep. And, of course, we get the epic Jason says, no matter what happens, us three are safe. We are unstoppable. Yeah, foreshadowing.
Which goes along with the line at the end of the last segment on the beach where Scott says, so long as the three of us remain faithful, it's all good.
Yep. Now,
nothing can go wrong now.
That's right, nothing.
Here goes the podcast. It's gone.
Now, Jason says back at camp that he tells the guy that's doing the camera that we can play it after the vote, and nobody knows that. So they know it's a super idol, but apparently no one else knows that it can be played after the vote. What are the odds that he's right on that, as far as saying that no one knows?
So I think Neil said that he told Aubrey how the Super Idol works.
See, that's what I was thinking.
And I think Scott and Jason were later saying that Sydney might have heard how it worked too.
Yeah.
And obviously Ty knew, and they don't know that Ty didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Ty probably said it in tribal council, and Jason just didn't remember.
I think if Aubrey and Julia and maybe even Michelle have heard the words Super Idol, they know when it can be played.
Well, I would think so.
They're all fans of the game. So, and it was said the last tribal, right?
I mean, surely,
Yeah.
surely you are saying to yourself, okay, it's a super idol. How is that different from a regular idol? Well, played after the votes? I mean, what else could it be?
Yeah.
Save 2 people?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Oh, that's true.
I don't know. Oh, well. He says Aubrey's going home. So you got Scott, Jason, and Julia. The girls are, and she tells them the girls are voting for Ty. And you know what? They're just telling her a bunch of bull. Several times this episode in confessionals, and when Scott was even leaving camp, he said that he, Jason, and Ty were the final 3. He told Julia that he was going to get rid of Ty, but I think he was just telling her that. I think Jason and Scott were planning on taking Ty to the end. And then talking about how they controlled him.
I'm completely on board with you because a lot of people who answered my poll today think Ty's in a better position because he was going to be 4th out with Julia, Jason, and Scott. And I'm thinking, why would you believe what they're telling Julia? I don't necessarily, because I think they feel they could probably beat Ty because they've been flipping so much on the other people versus Julia. I don't know why it would be gospel that Jason and Scott are telling Julia you're number 3. But I like that Jason said, so what are you guys thinking about doing, as in you and the girls? You know, not just about, you know, what are you going to do, but what are they thinking about doing? So and I love the double agent thing. This is just another castaway playing a great role that Julie's doing. She's playing it bravely and she's putting her neck out there. But at the same time, I just love this aspect of this season that we're getting this double agent work. It makes it more awesome.
Let's get back to the Jason, Scott, and Ty thing and get Jeff's thoughts on that.
When I saw it, I was convinced that they were being honest with Julia, but I think you make a good point that maybe they were actually intending to keep Ty.
Okay. I feel like they could make a better argument to beat Ty than they could to beat Julia, because Julia was playing more. You know, I mean, Julia's got the whole double agent thing going on. That's points in her corner, whereas Ty, they were basically controlling.
Absolutely. And Julia is playing with no extra provisions. Ty's got an idol. Ty's got an advantage. Julia has none of that, and she even left the game to go by herself to a camp for a day or 2.
Yeah.
And now she's come back and still standing and looks as strong as ever.
Yeah.
But she would also be betraying her entire alliance, so those people might not be willing to vote for her at the end.
Right.
All right, so we got in the chat room, we've got Bethany saying, Scott said in interviews that he wouldn't take Ty to the end. Patricia says, not according to his exit interview with Rob. Now, I don't know if Patricia's talking to me or if she's talking to Bethany. And right now, but how is Ponderosa? But again, same thing happened with Debbie last week. What they say as they're walking out of tribal council, I'm going to believe more. That carries more weight for me than what they tell Rob or somebody else in an exit interview a year later. Right?
Right.
So, and on the way out, he said, we were final 3. I don't understand. So Scott was taking him to the end. I don't care what he says now. I mean, I don't, because we have him on film saying we were final 3.
Yeah,
So,
what you say in the moment carries the most weight, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, well, anyway. Debbie,
and you don't know.
week.
There's 7 people left. Things could change with 7 people. They could go to Julia, then they can go back to Ty. So we'll never know.
Right. Oh, well, so now we get Aubrey and Sydney. We got to split up the guys, and they're right. And Sydney's, we should blindside Scott. He's too cocky. We need to find a crack. And, of course, Ty is a small crack in a big problem.
Yes.
And sure enough, Aubrey feels like she can connect with Ty. Why, Jeff? Because she already did what?
Laid the groundwork.
Laid the groundwork even before the challenge. That's right. That's right. She's been working herself up for this. So she reaches out to Ty. Okay, this is my favorite thing she did last night. She tells Ty, this is your game. You are making the big move. You have all 3 people behind you. What's best for you? Just tell me. Man.
She didn't say anything wrong, I think, in this whole episode. Everything she said was on point. She got everybody's intentions pretty much correct. Yeah. And I liked her confessional before she went back to Ty and said those smart words, where she said she has a connection with him. Plus, Ty wants to be true to himself. His natural state is not with Jason and Scott. She is working this guy's emotions in his heart and helping him, enabling him to get away from something he's not comfortable with into a place where he is very comfortable and to be himself. And this is the exact person that wants to do that. You know, she had all the right words, and like Jeff said, she laid the groundwork 2 days before. You know, Sydney says we can get Ty. Aubrey goes, I know Ty. I've talked to Ty. Let me go talk to him again. And she says what you just said. She puts, this is what Ty wants to hear. She's feeding him like a child. Scott was taking food out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Aubrey's feeding him like a little bird, like Mark the Chicken, just feeding him.
They were not taking care of Ty, and she is.
And that's one of the cardinal sins of Survivor. You got to treat the person at the bottom as if they're not on the bottom.
All right. Anything else before we go to Tribal Council?
Aubrey gives Joe his voting orders within less than 24 hours, but I guess he was still waiting for his orders. Jason gives the idol to Scott, and Ty wants the best for himself. And after this, there is no going back. And that was a great ultimatum quote. What I do tonight is going to determine where I go from here on out because I can't change what I do tonight. And that's when I was like, oh shoot, I got it backwards. It's not against Ty, it's for Ty.
So Aubrey goes up to Joe, and Joe goes, now I'm supposed to get out like right away, right? And she goes, no. This is Tribal Council. You're supposed to vote. This is the voting time.
Do I even need to go in there? Yeah, we got a chair for you. Come on in.
That's right. Why are you getting me out of my sleeping bag? It's time to vote. Oh, okay. All right, Tribal Council, Jason and Scott boldly proclaim that they are not going anywhere. Okay, just pretend I say that like 8 times during this discussion. Okay. There you go.
And they praise Ty for stepping up multiple times to protect them.
Oh, yeah.
In their alliance.
Yeah.
They were doing a lot of good jury management, actually, Jason and Scott in this. They were praising Aubrey for how strong a competitor she was.
Yeah. Right. But then Aubrey did the same thing. She's working the guys for when they're on the jury. She's complimenting them, saying, I'm standing between an NBA champion and a war veteran, and I'm honored to be in their presence. Good stuff.
I'm telling you, man, everything she said was like a perfect script.
Yeah. So Scott and Jason, it's just good stuff. This was a good episode. I liked it. All right, lots of smack being talked, of course.
Yeah, it's all just smack.
Lots and lots of smack getting talked. You know, I mean, this is like getting everybody watching the show wanting one of them to get voted out just because of how much smack they're talking, right? You know how that goes. You know, you get some cocky guy on the court, and you're like, I can't wait till someone trips him and he falls on his face, right? You know? Oh, well, anyway. All right, it's time to vote, unless y'all got something else to say about Tribal Council.
No.
All right.
So Michelle has a good quote here.
Okay.
So Michelle has been largely quiet, hasn't been driving the strategy or anything to this point, and she says, everything in this game can happen in a moment, and you never know when that moment is, but you better be on the right side of the moment when it happens.
Yes.
Could that be her entire approach to the game?
Could be.
Could that be a winner quote?
Well, she was on the wrong side of the thing that happened last night.
That's true.
She was on the wrong side of it, but that could be foreshadowing in the future she might be on the right side of it. Because it's not like Aubrey doesn't want to mess with Michelle. She just probably didn't tell Michelle because Michelle would tell Julia, and she didn't want Julia to know because she didn't want Julia to go tell the guys.
Right.
Michelle and Joe are the only two people that haven't been voted against yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, Michelle's got nobody voting against her or looking at her yet as a target. And that is a good quote for somebody that's just sitting back waiting for the right time to strike and being on the right side of that strike. But like Dwayne said, I mean, she was left out of this one.
Yeah. All right.
Is that what you're aiming at, Jeff? Is that your pick?
Well, I've fully been against the Michelle wins camp this season because I think the entire post-merge has been about Aubrey's approach to the game, and it's Aubrey's hero's journey.
Yeah.
But it's still theoretically possible that Michelle could win. I'm not sure who's voting for her yet, but
yeah, it's come up before about how people talk about how this season maybe fizzles out at the end. Excuse me, with these players, it would be hard for this season to fizzle out. But if suddenly, Michelle and Joe pop up and it's a final two, and she has worked out to get rid of Jason and get rid of Julia and get rid of Aubrey, and it's Michelle and Joe, I mean, this is why we don't have final twos.
Michelle and Joe, final two. Wow. Interesting.
Well, there's no evidence that it is a final two, though, so we can relax for now.
Right. Yeah. I'm hoping it's not.
Man, I don't care if it's final two, final three. Why does it matter, David?
Because I don't think final two of Michelle and Joe would be very interesting. Or just, it would be, to me, it would be all Michelle. It could be
I think Joe would be like, how did I get here?
Have I voted out yet?
Joe would be looking over at Aubrey and going, what am I supposed to say, Aubrey? Aubrey!
I think Joe could have a pretty compelling argument if he made it to the end.
Well, okay.
I'm 72 years old. I'm the oldest first-time player.
I outplayed every single one of you, except in the challenges.
Outlasted you. Yeah, put it that way.
All right, Aubrey.
If Aubrey gets voted out, they're going to go to Joe, and Joe's just going to go, now who's going to tell me how to vote?
That's right.
So,
who was it that told us that, gosh, I don't remember which season it was, but she said that they would go up to the flag and point to tell someone else.
What did Kelly tell us about Keith?
No, it wasn't Keith.
That was Eric and Caramon.
Yeah. Someone was telling us how
Sherry?
Probably that they would go up and point to the flag, tell them who to vote for.
Sure.
All right. Aubrey, Sydney, Joe, and Ty voted for Scott. Michelle and Julia voted for Ty. Jason and Scott voted for Aubrey. And Scott goes home. So I don't know if you all read Dalton Ross's interview of Jeff Probst, but I wanted to read this question and answer. He asks Jeff, so just so everyone is clear, had the super idol been used by Scott, then the next two highest people with votes were Ty and Aubrey with 2 apiece. So what would have happened next? Probst replies, well, first you have to remember that Ty voted for Scott, so he never was going to use his idol to save him. He betrayed him the moment he wrote his name down. So if Ty had used the idol to save Scott after voting for Scott, it would rival the worst move in Survivor history. But yes, if he did use the idol regardless of the circumstances, then Scott is safe. Then everybody except Ty and Aubrey would vote again, and they could only vote for Ty or Aubrey. Ty would have been voted out and would still be in therapy trying to figure out what happened. I just thought that was funny. All right. What a great episode. Any
There are
last
other
words?
things they could have done, though.
What?
They could have played this like the Three Amigos. So they could have
I'll
gone
play
into
another
tribal
each.
council. Jason has immunity. Ty and Scott just plan to play their idols, and then they dictate who actually goes.
Right.
Exactly.
If Ty was not going... Okay, I agree with you. Before Ty agreed to go off and do his own thing, why hadn't they planned on Jason saying, I'm immune, Scott and Ty, you both use your idols, boom. Right? I mean, you're going to use both idols anyway if you're going to use the super idol. Why not just go ahead and just use them?
I think they were getting too comfortable, and they thought that they could get away with another tribal council where they didn't actually have to play them.
Yep. I think so too.
I think calling a second bluff would have been. I mean, trying another bluff would have been hard to get over.
But that's what they were trying to do, and it didn't work.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, they should have gone for safety, but they also had full faith and confidence that Ty was going to share.
Yeah.
And he didn't share. And I think they showed. I did see one interview with Scott where he didn't catch that Ty voted for him until they were watching it because he never did the math on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, how soon they caught on to that.
Nice. All right, y'all. It's time. Oh, Jeff, you got another thing to say before we get to listener feedback?
The other thing that Ty could have done to just confuse everybody is play his extra vote and then throw another vote somewhere else. Because he's never actually going to need it.
You know what he could have said was, I heard there's an extra vote. Oh, I thought everybody knew that.
Then he probably would have voted for Joe, just to make sure Joe had a vote against him.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, y'all. We're about to get to listener feedback.
Hey guys, this is Jennifer, and I just wanted to steal a moment during my favorite podcast to remind you to use D&D's Amazon link when you shop at Amazon. Not only do you get everything you need at Amazon, you're also helping D&D continue their great podcasts. So always use www.stwdd.com/Amazon when you start your shopping. Or make it even easier and just use their links on their website and the D&D Facebook group. That's all I wanted to say. Now back to more D&D.
All right, it's time for listener feedback. David, I believe you have the first one from Traveling Tina.
You know, with that picture that comes up, I think there's more tattoo ink on that picture than any other colorings or drawings on the rest of that.
Well, now I got to bring the picture back up. All right, yeah, I think you might be right. Even Ty has a new tattoo on his left arm and shoulder.
He couldn't decide, and he kept moving his arms when they were making the tattoo.
But see what I mean? You know, so Mark does all of our artwork this season, and you even have the angel halo over Jeff Pitman as he looks down over Jason and Scott and Ty. What were you thinking at that exact moment, Jeff, as you looked over them?
It was a long time ago. It was a full year ago. I can't remember.
Nice.
Oh, I'll answer that question because I remember specifically, and yes, that's very funny. I remember, to me, that's where Scott just lost Ty. Flat out.
Yeah.
That's where he cut out Aubrey and his game was done. That's what I was thinking, but Jeff's was funnier. So
Jeff didn't say anything. He said he forgot.
He said it was a year ago. That's funny.
Okay. All right, David. Read Tina the Traveler.
Now, before I read Tina the Traveler, I want to, if necessary, apologize to Tina.
She's in the chat room, so
if she was bothered in any way by our laughter last week during her feedback and her talking about having to listen to a Jason podcast. And the reason we laughed, I think I can attest to, that Dwayne and I laugh often at each other's pain. And the way you were saying about how it would be very discomforting for you to listen to Jason through a podcast, it probably struck us as laughing at each other. But it hit me, the fact that you would be willing to go through that to listen to somebody you don't care for, but you still want to hear the information, just shows how much you love Survivor and listening to our podcast, and we appreciate that. But if you were hurt or offended at all last week, we apologize at us laughing during your feedback.
And I would like to add, you know how when you go skiing, they tell you to start taking Advil like a week before so that your body's ready for it? Tina, whatever you need to start taking because we will be having Jason on the show. So there you go.
All right. Hello, Dwayne and David, and I'll add in Jeff. I am loving Aubrey. She is not only a brain, but a tough one. I love the way she described her and Ty's relationship. She said it was like a Craigslist missed connection. And then she set out to connect with him and succeeded. She showed him respect, listened to him, and appealed to his better side, something that neither Jason or Scott had the skills to do. It was a pleasure to see Scott go home. The only thing better would have been to see Jason go home. Scott was so angry towards Sydney because she left his group. But maybe she would not have left if they would have made her feel part of the team. Sydney may not be out on social media defending herself like Jason, but Sydney left because she lost trust in them when they did not seem to trust her, and she called them out on it. Scott and Jason can only work in a pair, and they don't know how to work with others. Their bond is with each other, and like Julia says, they know how to ruin relationships. Jason played hard in tribal council. What he doesn't realize is that this is not a group of thugs he is out bounty hunting for. These are smart players who he should respect a little more and bully less. It would be great to see how Jason treats Ty in the next episode. How will his behavior be without his wingman? To occasionally use tough tactics is part of the game, but that is all that Scott and Jason know. They need to have more tools in their toolbox to be a good Survivor player. They needed Cass's book from last season, How to Win Friends and Influence People. By the way, I really do miss Debbie. I loved all of her follow-up interviews and videos. She is hilarious. I hope she will be back, although she said she is too old to play again. I don't think anybody is too old to play again, and I think Debbie would definitely come back if the call came. Do y'all think she'd play again?
Heck yeah, she'd play again.
Well, she said she wouldn't in her exit interviews, and we can't trust anything she says in her exit interviews. So
That's right. That's right. Plus, they always say, "Yeah, I don't think I'd play again," until you get that call.
Who was it that told us their bags were already packed? Was that Wentworth or was that somebody else?
No, it's somebody else.
They said, my bag's already at the door. All you have to do is call.
That was Jeff Warner, right?
Well, yeah, probably him, but also Matt Bischoff can't wait to play again. Hello?
Yeah. Sorry.
In fact, Matt and somebody else was on Big Mike's show earlier tonight.
Michael Snow was on.
Yeah, so y'all be sure to go back and check that episode if you hadn't already watched it.
And speaking of old age, and that's not about Big Mike or Matt or Snowy, after seeing how FBI Joe is playing, a part of me thinks it is not so bad to get old. But then seeing how he has led to the votes and seems a little clueless, getting old scares the heck out of me. I know I have written a lot, but I am off work for a couple of weeks and have nothing better to do than obsess about Survivor. Your traveling friend, Tina.
Thank you, Tina. Hold on. So this got me to thinking that, and I saw something on the chat room that made me think of it. Why would Jason give his idol to Scott before Scott needed it? Right? Why not keep it and say, if you need it, I'll give it to you at Tribal Council. Otherwise, you might go home with it in your pocket. Right? Jason gave his idol away, and it's gone.
Jeff said it earlier, overconfidence. They were overconfident, and their plan was always going to work with all those idols, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you think, Jeff? Should have kept it?
That would have worked out better.
Well, I know hindsight.
I think he was trying to make Scott feel comfortable, and
yeah. You know what else they were doing? Playing to the camera.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Playing to the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Jeff from Arizona. Hey, this is Jeff from Arizona, long-time listener, but first time anything. I talked to David on Facebook about this already, but I'm predicting a Michelle win right now. Although Ty could screw it up since he now has all the power. But I think there's always going to be bigger fish to fry. Pretty much everyone but her and Joe have been targeted recently, and I'm afraid Joe is just a goat in the end. Isn't it funny that he said, talking about Ty, he said there's always a bigger fish to fry. Gosh, y'all are slow. Jason is gone next week if he doesn't win immunity. And I'm not at all upset about that, because the cockiness of that group was off the charts. I loved how Ty took down the whole alliance in one fell swoop by having Scott walk out with that idol, and I am looking forward to the finale again because it was looking like the axis of evil was going all the way there for a bit. Julia is with Jason in next week's preview I saw, and that's foolish on her part. If it was me, I'd say, do I know you? And try to get back in the others' good graces. But it probably is too late for that anyway, LOL. Anyway, love the show. I look forward to listening to it as I work overnights during the weekends, and it helps me pass the time. Later. Thank you.
Now, watching it the second time today, I don't think Jason is going to be the main target this week. I can see where he would be for some, but I think Julia may put more of a target on her back, playing the double agent, she's won a challenge, and she was not in on it. And she told Ty, how are they going to take her telling Ty to play as idol, because as far as Julia knew, she was saving Ty and getting rid of one of them. So she didn't know about the Scott vote. So I think Julia is going to have just as big a target, if not more, than Jason, because Jason's kind of now a free agent.
Yeah. Do you agree with that,
Ty,
Jeff?
He's lost Scott.
Yeah, they focused quite a bit on Julia the last couple of episodes, and they hadn't really shown her before that, except for when she was on Braun Beach by herself. So
Yep.
it's that uptick in screen time could be a sign that she's in danger.
I'm also thinking that Jason is someone that you want to sit by at the end.
There you go.
Which is why Julia is trying to save that, because Julia wants to sit by him at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Julia's whole thought process through this was, I want to sit by Jason and Scott because I can beat them. Apparently she doesn't think she can beat Aubrey or the others.
What did Prop say at the end of his tease? It was about loyalty.
I don't
next
remember.
week or something. There wasn't a great tease for next week. I think it said something about it comes down to loyalty, and I could see Aubrey, pulling her group together, and including Ty, and say Julia is not loyal. We thought they were loyal, but they're not. She tried to help them, so she could be the target too.
Yeah.
Maybe they get Michelle to turn on her as well.
I don't know. All right, it's time for Will the Giant Ninja from Chicagoland.
What's up, guys? It's Will from Wonder Lake again, a.k.a. the Giant Ninja, which Dwayne has already pointed out. So I've sent you feedback from a car many times. Now, he could have wrote this like Dr. Seuss. It would have been much more funny. So I've sent you feedback from a car many times, and once from 30,000 feet in the air, but never have I ever sent you feedback from a yellow school bus before. Until now, that is. I haven't seen my voice in about a month, so I don't know when it's going to come back. So, I'm chaperoning a field trip for my son's school, so I'm on a bus with about 25 sixth graders.
Wow.
I did that last year with about 35 fifth graders. So, yes, the 6'3", 350-pound ninja man-child is currently cramped in a seat designed for 2 6-year-olds. The leg room is fantastic, let me tell you, and the suspension very smooth.
Oh, man, it's actually one of those old school buses, where it's like basically a rod with some cloth over it that you're sitting on.
Now, I will admit, we had a rented bus, so it was one of those nice buses with DVD players and stuff. So he says, I won't be listening live tonight, as I'll be watching what very well may be the last Chicago Blackhawks game this season.
Oh, I hope not.
I may be crying a bit too, but I guess we're just destined to win the Cup every other year. At least I'm not a Caps fan. Hi, David. Who, by the way, are up 3-1 right now and play tomorrow night to clinch that series. What an episode last night, huh? Holy wow, so much to discuss. I'll try to keep it brief, maybe. This will not be brief. Even when there's 3 people left, it will not be brief.
He's on a bus with a bunch of sixth graders. This
right.
is his distraction.
That's right. Number 1, Dear Joe, are you playing? Seriously, are you playing the game? Are you trying to dictate what happens in any way? Is your non-playing, in fact, a genius strategy ensuring you a spot in the final? My guess is no to every question.
Can we vote on that? I vote no. Jeff?
Yeah, I don't think he's making the finals.
There you go.
Really? Final 2 on the show? Okay. Number 2, Dear Michelle, another week, another episode of you giving us confessionals that could have gone to anybody. We're not getting your story, but we are getting you telling us a story. I think you're beating Jason in the final. Another Michelle fan. Dear Julia, the downside of playing both sides is that neither side trusts you. Tread lightly. Now, she had a pretty good secret scene, too. I did happen to catch it. Just popped up on my phone, and she said, flat out, and I love that she said this, she goes, I'd rather go out swinging than go out being a coattail rider. I'd rather leave the game knowing that I threw everything out there that I could play versus someone that was riding on somebody else's back and they just sent me out.
True. By the way, I don't know if you realize this, but these were all part of the letters that were given out at the reward challenge. Will wrote these to all of... Forget it.
Gotcha. These are what Joe got because he is the loser of the letter challenge. Okay.
Whatever.
So Joe got his. Number 4, Dear Sydney, you're in a good spot. If you and Aubrey can stay tight with Julie and Michelle, you've got a ticket to the end. If you can find a way to dump Joe along the way. I feel like
Well-
now this is me. I feel like Sydney has got more to offer, but I feel like they're holding back her story for some reason. It's like she's part of it, but she's not the lead part of it. Do y'all feel that at all?
It's kind of like Becky and Yule in Cook Islands. Like, they were partners in driving all the strategy together as a pair, but they only ever showed Yule.
Yeah.
And they're sort of doing that with Aubrey and Sydney.
Yeah. My problem with number 4 here, the Dear Sydney, is can stay tight with Julia and Michelle. They didn't even include them in this plan. It's not stay tight with them, is can they get them into the fold if they feel like they need them. I
Right.
don't know what he means by stay tight. They're not tight.
I don't think they need them even.
I'm not sure they do either.
No, if they got Joe and Ty, which they seem to have now,
Yeah.
that's 4.
4,
And if you
yeah.
got 4 and 3, and it equals 10, then that's 1 vote you need right there.
That's right. What are you, the guys from One World?
Brad Culpepper, come on now, let's work with it.
All right, go ahead.
Let's see. Go back a little further, Dwayne. No, you're far ahead. Sorry. Number 5, Dear Ty. I'm going to offer an unpopular opinion. Bad move. Actually, if you check the poll on our Facebook page, it is the popular opinion. Bad move for you. I don't think you have any shot to the end with the girls. You're too big a target. You should have stuck with Jason and Scott and hoped to win the endurance challenges at the end. You would have won in a landslide if you'd been there with one or both of them. Now, this is something I wanted to address earlier. I did put this poll up on our Facebook group. Do y'all think Ty made a good decision or a bad decision?
I think that is a dangerous path for Ty, actually, because if somebody else wins the final immunity challenge and they go with Ty and either Scott or Jason, he's going to lose the same way that Parvati lost in Heroes vs. Villains for being too close to the people that everybody else hates.
Right.
And I think it was a good move for him personally. Maybe not game-wise, but I don't think he could have made it the whole rest of the game playing with the quote-unquote bad guys. It just was so against him. It was just so not his character, and he's just not wired that way. I don't think he would have made it.
See, that's where you and I differ in that you got to leave yourself at the door when you come play for $1 million. That's what it's about. It's about stabbing people. It's about playing that dirty game.
That doesn't mean we differ.
You could do that. You could, or would you be like Ty?
No, I wouldn't be like Ty. I'm saying Ty is like that. He can't leave himself at the door.
Okay, that's true. I was answering a different point. You're right. And to me, that's where he messed up. That he made an emotional heart move instead of a strategic move. Because I agree that I think it was a bad move personally. Because I think these women are going to take him out as soon as he loses. They even said that. Julia said that in that group. As soon as he loses, we get rid of him.
Right.
Right now,
Okay.
he just
So
flushes him out.
But
Okay,
Ty
so-
is someone that could win immunity, though.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
In fact, that would be a good reason for Scott and Jason to keep him because he could beat Julia because she can also win immunity. So, let's see. Dear number 6, Dear Kylo, Jason's dog, the bounty hunter. Man, did that suck for you. You lost your biggest ally and your idol because you trusted Ty. Oi, brother. I don't know how you can work your way out of this, but hopefully you can manufacture something. The very best Survivor players thrive at flipping the game when they're at the bottom. Well, your table is set. Y'all laugh at that while I cough.
I'm reminded of Dan saying flippers never win.
Except Cochran.
Yeah, and others.
I think somebody pointed out in our Facebook group that when Dan went on Oz's show, he changed it to flippers rarely win. So he changes his comment. But I love watching people play from the bottom, and that's true. He went from where he thought he was on the top. Now he's obviously at the bottom. Number 7, Dear Aubrey, boom goes the dynamite. Great move. All the more so given that you were the one getting votes. I'm super impressed with your gameplay. Unfortunately, I think you're the biggest threat in this game. Keep your eyes and ears open. They're going to be coming for you soon. Number 8, Dear Scott, tough break. You trusted your alliance, and Ty turned on you before you could turn on him. That's Survivor. You were probably the best professional athlete we've ever seen play this game. You had the serious chops, but you went too far into the sabotage, bullying, take my ball and go home deep end. I'd love to see you play again, Hopefully you can find a way to stay in the numbers next time. Hey, the Hawks scored. 3-goal lead in the second. That'll work. Any chance I'm psychic? So, well, that's
I
all
thought
I've got.
you were watching the game.
No, I'm reading his hopefully prophetic comments for himself.
My wife
that's
is
all.
putting a non-survivor sticker on my wall. What are you doing? See, I told you, she came home from a concert. Now she's defacing my wall. Crazy woman. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all I've got. Talk to you next time. Later, peeps. Will, of course, and his Twitter handle, @TheGiantNinja.
At the Giant Ninja. Yes, darling. Yeah, David and backwards Dwayne. I like that. Okay, with flowers on it. Yeah, that's our new logo. Mm-hmm. By the way, before we get to Emily's, David, you realize that Aubrey made the jury, right?
Yes.
Right.
She will have officially made the jury.
She will have eventually made the jury or win the game. And it just reminded me of what Dan Foley said in our draft episode.
What did he say?
If this girl makes the merge, I will eat anything you guys send to me. I don't care what it is. I don't think she will make the merge. She's a pre-merge boot all day.
Well,
Yeah,
now, I don't
who
think
does she get along with? Who does she get along with, Neil?
Nobody. That's the problem.
She gets along with Elizabeth.
I don't.
Come on, y'all. What? I think Aubrey's kind of like a Julia in that she'll make it. She'll make it through. They're not going to vote her off.
I don't agree with that even a little bit.
Dwayne, this is a social game.
Yeah, well, she's, social. So Dan Foley asked me for that clip, and I sent him the video clip. I'm not sure what he's going to do with it, but apparently he said he'd eat anything.
He's going to have to play it to verify why he's eating what he's eating. He's going to have to show why he's eating.
Anyway, all right, here we have Emily.
Hold on. Before you go to Finland, Will is close. It's the end of the second period, and the Blackhawks are up 3-1. He said a 3-goal lead in the second. They've got a 2-goal lead at the end of the second.
All right.
So he's close.
All right. Jeff, you still with us?
Yep, I'm just checking the baseball scores. Sorry.
All right.
Emily after a no-hitter.
He's like, David's checking scores. I can check scores.
Jeff, you've got some strange animal on your back wall that has been walking across backwards and leaving a streak.
It's a little blue penguin from New Zealand.
Ah, okay. All right. Just making sure that you were aware of the penguin on your back wall. Here's Emily from Finland. Hi, D&D. I have heard that a lot of people have liked the episode, probably including you two, but I didn't. I think I mentioned it in my last feedback, or at least on Facebook page, that I thought that Scott was going in the next episode, a.k.a. this episode. I didn't count the Neil Medevac because I got spoiled before the episode, but it was my own fault, so not mad at anyone. I also think that a lot of people made bad moves. After Tribal, Ty gives his idol to Jason and says, I give it to you because I don't have room for it. No, Ty, you gave the idol to him because you are too kind to make that kind of move. What a shame. I love the challenges, even if they both were in. Ty's the kind of guy that when you're playing Monopoly with him and you're losing, you could get him to give you like the best Monopoly for the worst trade. That's Ty, right?
Yep.
Am I wrong? He'd be like, look, I'll give you Baltic and Mediterranean if you'll just give me North Carolina, Pacific. I'm just. All right, here we go. I love the challenges, even if they both were endurance. In the reward challenge, the decision that was they wanted to play for made it interesting, and I always love the ones where they need to keep pressure against something. I would have played for food because I don't want a target on my back, and I don't give a female unicorn donut for family letters, and I usually get annoyed when people start crying, but A, I cried when Jeremy had his wife come over. B, I haven't ever been in Survivor, in case nobody knew, but it can't be worse than a summer camp, right? Right? Ty wins an advantage in the game. Good luck with that. Interesting part about it is they haven't seen it played before because they started filming before Dan got his advantage. I don't recall anything happening at camp between the challenges except Ty bonding with Aubrey and after Ty told about it to Jason and Scott. For some dumb reason, Scott says, no, let's vote her out instead. I'm happy that Scott got voted out because he was acting like a jerk sometimes, and I think he made bad game decisions and didn't bring much to the table. Jason won the immunity challenge, which was really impressive, and Scott just kind of gave up. I know that it might be hard to keep your arms in that kind of position, but he just looked like he gave up. Sure, he might have known that he wouldn't beat Sydney, Aubrey, who was really impressing in the challenges, and Jason, but still, I'd take everything I can get. I don't understand why Aubrey trusted Ty so much, because she was in big danger, and Ty could have gone to his alliance and said that they were splitting the votes and then used his extra vote to vote out Aubrey. Well, I think Aubrey was in kind of a position where she had to do something. You know, they were in a position where they just couldn't let the guys just run the rest of the game. Am I right?
Yeah, I wonder. Well, she obviously didn't know what he had as an advantage either. So yeah, she was also swinging for a fence here, going after Ty. I wonder if he told her about the advantage. I wonder if he's told anybody yet. Because we did get clarification this week that Sydney did not tell the women about Jason's idol. Because she said, you know, like, well, slow down, guys. I know about your idol. Don't think I don't know about it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think she kind of made that point this week that she hadn't told anybody, which I'm surprised.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's see where we are. Tribal wasn't exciting because, as I have said, I knew what was happening. Got you. You probably read this really loud, but I just used big letters accidentally. Oh, thank you. But as Willie Dennison pointed out in the D&D Facebook group, it's always about getting blindsided. It's also about the story and the overall story that they are selling us. Example. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Season 29, skip ahead 15 seconds. The Drew Christie boot episode was great, and it was so obvious that he was going home. As I said, Aubrey really impressed me, and more people are saying that she will be the winner of this season. But I have to stick to my guns, so here is how I think the season will go. Drum roll, please. Julia will get voted out in the next episode. Final 6, Ty gets voted out with his idol in his pocket and the extra vote in his bag. Final 5, Aubrey will be pulled from the game due to medical reasons. Final 4, Jason wins immunity and Sydney gets voted out because Joe and Jason are forcing the rock draw and Michelle doesn't want to draw rocks. Jason wins again and Michelle is voted out, and the winner of Survivor, Kaôh Rōng, is Jason wins. Call me crazy if you want, but that's how we Finnish people are. This was your friend from Finland, Emili Mensika. Hear you guys later. Like we say in Finland, some word I can't say.
Nakamin.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Emili.
So would that be a non-climactic finale of the guy that was the bully and the guy that everybody forgot was still there?
Well, it'd be interesting.
You know what disappointed me about Tribal Council?
What?
That Scott never wrote down Joe, cross it out, Aubrey, cross it out.
Oh,
Joe,
yeah.
cross it out, Aubrey, like he promised.
That's a T-shirt. He needs to get that on a T-shirt.
Oh, don't say that. He'll join every other guy that's been on Survivor making T-shirts.
Hey, they can sell it.
All right, David. We just got 2 more, I think. So read Sarah's.
Hello, Dwayne and David. I did manage to send you my feedback before the episode this week, and unfortunately sending you my reactions after the episode. Best Tribal Council ever. Cheers, Sarah.
Wow, it's nice. You got the short one.
It's just the way they fell. Yeah.
All right. Who is this, David? You didn't put it at the top, so I don't know who it is.
That's because you put it in. It's Steve, isn't it?
Well, you're supposed to edit it. Did you not edit this?
No, I didn't edit it.
Oh, boy.
I'll do it while you're reading if you want.
No. Hey, D&D, long time since I wrote last because I have been really sick and busy with work. I have to say, this has to be one of the best Tribal Councils ever. Wow. Kelly Wentworth was nice, and Poverty was great at Tribal Council, also giving out 2 to 3 idols. But this one, Wow. The challenge, or should I say a la carte challenge. LOL. This has to be the first, right? You can choose either food, love, or advance, or advantage. I don't know. I would have chosen food, but of course we don't know what the advantage is. The extra vote is super, but we didn't know what was the advantage. He wrote advance. Do you think he meant to write advance? Do you think he's trying to make a point?
No.
Okay. How many times have we seen that the advantage doesn't really help out? I would have chosen food myself. The love letters, come on, it's only been 30 days. You can wait another 10 days, LOL. Ty wins, now he has the advantage and the idol. Wow. At camp, you know, I'm sure you guys know this. When the three guys are talking on the beach, Ty, Jason, and Scott, and Ty said they don't listen to what I say, they just cut me off, I knew something big was going to happen, either Jason or Scott going home. The immunity challenge, credit to Aubrey lasting so long, but Jason took down the challenge. Correct me, but did Jeff say you can only use fingers, right? I saw people using palms of their hands. Maybe they let it slide. I could be wrong. No, I saw that as well. Did you see that? I saw this happen where they were going like this, so they were using this as leverage, and I actually saw this happen as well a couple times. And then Jason at one point pushed the thing on top and then back down.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right.
First time, guys. Come on.
Oh, okay. Now, with the best tribal council ever, Ty made so many points with everyone with that play. I feel like he can't lose. I feel he can't lose if he makes the final. Just give him the check. How can you not vote for him if he makes the final tribal council? Again, that is if he makes the final tribal council. Do you think he will make the same play if Aubrey doesn't talk to him before? I don't know. No, he does not make the same play at all. That's my commentary on your feedback. No, he does not make that play. I don't know. Ty is well liked before that play, so this I feel help him out even more. If Ty does use the idol to save Scott, then there would be a revote with Ty and Aubrey. Another reason not to use his idol. Why save Scott and be at a risk of going home, right? Except he voted for Scott. So, as Probe said, that would be the stupidest move in the history of Survivor. Sucks that there is a wasted idol. Do you think we will see the super idol this season? Not anymore, I don't. It doesn't look good for the season. However, the super idol, this is me talking, the super idol did affect the game. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, because of the super idol, Scott was voted out. Scott was voted out.
Which is another reason why this game is so good, because you don't have to play the idol for it to have an effect on the game.
That's right.
Just being in the game makes an effect. Now the question is another idol going to be put back into the game?
I think yes.
I think yes too. Even just until they get to Final Five, there's going to be another idol put out there somewhere.
Probably going to be hanging on a tree when they get back to camp.
So Jason can find it. That's right.
Yeah. Do we have a new player in the game, Joe? LOL, haha, he is getting no airtime. Now that Jason is the target, Jason needs to pull a Terry D to win every challenge. I would be really surprised if he is there after 6 days. If Julia were smart, I think she should jump back to the other side if they would take her. Jason and Julia versus everyone else. They pull Mark the Chicken in, unless they pull Mark the Chicken in. Can the chicken vote? Haha, I think Mark the Chicken is on the menu next week. Side notes. I see, David, you like my Twitter shots with the pizza dinners. LOL. Yes, I'm a big fan of pizza, as you can see. LOL. If I ever make it on Survivor and Jeff pulls out pizza, I'm toast. LOL. Okay, D&D, I hope to chat with you guys next week. Steve, the graphic artist. Thank you, Steve. All right, that's our listener feedback tonight. That was good stuff. Good stuff. It is time for...
You write them. We read them. iTunes Reviews.
Yeah, and if you had written any this week, then we'd be reading them. But we don't have any iTunes reviews, so leave us an iTunes review, and we will read it on the air, and all that good stuff. So that was iTunes reviews. Power ranking, David and Colton. David, how are you doing? Did you gain any points this week?
I picked up 2 points this week.
Woo! So with, what, 4 weeks left, you're only 20-something points behind?
I think I'm right at 20 points behind. I have to win, like, probably every round. He's got to go 1, I've got to go, like, 7, then 6, then 5, just to try and get
Wow. I don't
Keep
think
hope
it's
alive.
going to happen.
Keep hope alive. That's right.
That's right.
I'm going to play my super ranking idol to get my 20 points back. I just found it back here.
You can see our David and Colton's power ranking battle on our website. Of course, if you're playing the D&D Survivor Challenge, I don't think we have the results in yet for this week, but I can anticipate another huge win for the Double D Brigade. So we will.
Last week, Aubrey was the confessional queen, but Ty was the overall king. I think they're going to be even closer now. I think it was 33-30. And I think she's definitely caught up to him. That's going to be between those two.
Yeah, we'll see.
Pondering Ponderosa.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's just the time of the show where we look at Ponderosa. What's going on with the 4 that are there now? Has Debbie hit it off with any of the guys? No.
These are the days of the lives of Ponderosa.
Yes. This of the 4, I rank this one as number 4.
Well, they finally focused on the person that went to Ponderosa, and that's about it.
Well, still, it just wasn't as enjoyable as the other ones, in my opinion.
The best part was when he sat down and pulled out the idol. I mean that was
and they all freaked out. Yeah.
And then you put the super idol together. So the super idol is at Ponderosa now.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Tolly says in the chat room that I think Debbie's about 3 days away from being voted out of Ponderosa.
Yeah, I think Debbie might get. There's rumor that Debbie might get medically evacuated from Ponderosa. I don't know why she would though.
They talk her into juggling knives or something.
Yeah. Oh well. So Scott lost 46 pounds for those of you that are interested, and he still weighed 260 something pounds. Holy smokes!
But he's at basketball weight.
Yeah, I know. I love what he said on the truck. I know they don't think that I was a jerk because I wasn't.
He took it as a compliment. He was blindsided because he was a threat.
Yeah. Oh, well. I really love these Ponderosa videos because you get the true, what they were really thinking, you know? So.
I agree because once he was separated from Jason, and I don't blame either one, they both acted the way they did, but still you got more of the real Scott. You know, especially when he had his letters from home. And like Tolly says, he owned up to some of his faults.
Yeah.
You know, he's a different person. He seems like to me, he seems like a fun person to be around. Very outgoing.
What they want to do is go ahead, Jeff, please.
I thought Scott was actually a really good player when he was on the post-swap tribe. When he was down in the numbers. I think he just got too comfortable when he was on Braun and after the merge.
Yeah. Got a little too overconfident. But one thing they do with these Ponderosa videos is they help to soften the edit that they gave people during the show, right? So they're going to tell the story, and boy, his little dad talk and his sister, the letter, it's very touching, a very emotional Ponderosa video.
Yes.
Agreed.
So I don't have anything.
I think they've been doing a really good job this season of making everybody more three-dimensional, though. Like even Scott and Jason got some sort of humanizing scenes a couple of episodes back.
Right.
It's nice to remember that these are actual people that are playing this game and not cartoon characters.
Right.
Absolutely. Just when you think they're getting the full villain treatment, you get pulled back a little bit and you see the human side. And I thought that I agree. I thought that was great.
Yeah. So anything else about Ponderosa?
No, it was good. I mean, it was interesting. Like I said, I enjoy it when they first walk in. And to me, that's like you said, that's where you get 100% honesty. You hear what their thoughts were and what they were going to do and not do. And he was still in shock because I think he fully trusted Ty and expected them to go to the end.
Who do you think is in control at Ponderosa?
Who talks the most or who's in control?
Well, I said who's in control. That's what I mean. I think Neil has the most influence at Ponderosa, or will have for sure.
We haven't really seen them talking much about the game, though.
Do you think we will?
It's mostly about the people that are just coming out.
Yeah.
Like nobody said, "Oh, that person's going to win" or anything like that yet.
Right.
I could see Neil having the most influence, but speaking the least.
Well, yeah.
I'm not. I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, one thing that's going to be cool is I don't remember when, but right before the finale, I believe, we're going to have Cass McQuillan back on the show, and we're going to talk about all of the Ponderosa stuff and kind of get an idea of who she thinks is in control and some stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun, so you're going to want to be here for that.
We're going to dissect the jury.
Yeah, we're going to dissect them, much like a frog on a science
table. We talked
table.
about the Sunday night before the finale.
Yeah.
We're hoping.
So, Jeff, why don't you tell our listeners where they can read you and other things that you have exciting going on?
I am at www.truedarktimes.com. I have recaps there and have sometimes columns from Andy Baker and also weekly columns from Pat Ferrucci, who talks about Survivor from a sociology perspective.
Oh, wow.
I will admit I feel a little bit smarter after reading his columns. And then again, I feel dumber in the fact that I didn't see some of the stuff that he points out because he is so deep. It's smart. I'm like, wow, man, he's really classified what they're doing. That's really smart.
Yeah. All right, so that's www.truedarktimes.com. There's also a link to his website on our website under Survivor links, so you can go hit that. You can get even more D&D by joining our always family-friendly Facebook group at www.stwdd.com/Facebook and follow me on Twitter at Survivor_talk. Again, you can follow David, but he doesn't do anything on Twitter. So
where can they follow me?
Don't follow David.
David gives me favorites occasionally. Come on.
That's right. And they come from David_STWDD.
They do indeed. Thank you for tuning in, sharing our show with others. That is very important. It is for us anyway. If you like our show, tell other people about it. Subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, whatever. Thank you for being a part of the D&D family. Now look, if you like the show a lot, we give you entertainment for less than a cup of coffee a day or a month. You can become a D&D patron. We would really appreciate it, and you really make a difference. You also get access if you're $2 or more a month. That's just $2. You can get access to our D&D extra video every week, where David and I on Sunday night or Monday night basically tell you what's going to happen in the next episode.
Basically tell you what's not going to happen in the next episode.
Yeah. Anyway, so consider becoming a D&D patron, stwdd.com/Patreon, I think, or just go to our website and scroll down. It's a big swirling box. It's pretty cool. Anyway, another way to support the show, easy way to support the show, is just click on the Amazon links on our website. They're all over the place. Or stwdd.com/Amazon. Even if you're buying a 50-cent something, I don't know. If you're buying a 50-cent coin, just put it on there. So, all right, because we are Amazon affiliates. Are you an Amazon affiliate, Jeff? Do you have Amazon links?
Not.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't tell people to go to your site.
Exactly.
So,
for Amazon.
Yeah.
So now they know where to go.
Yeah, they go to my site. That's right. So, also, just a little plug, personal plug. I did just release 2 songs on iTunes. You can find a link to that on our website on the front page. There's a banner. It's a little inconspicuous, a little black. Anyway, click on it, go preview it, see what you think. 2 songs I wrote, and then I also put the instrumentals on there in case you like to sing in the car with no words. Or if you like the song but you can't stand my voice, you got the instrumental version. Right? Right. So, and I was telling people today, they were like, yeah, I heard your song. I'm like, it's $1. You can't afford $1? Come on. Anyway. They were like, why don't you just make me a CD so I don't have to pay for it? It's $1 for a song. You can afford $1. It cost me a lot of money. You can afford $1. Anyway. All right, Jeff, it's been a blast having you on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was a great episode, and it's great to talk about it.
Absolutely. Looking forward to reading your stuff on your website this week. And, David, it's been fun talking to you.
It's fun always to listen to your subtle plugs. They're so good.
They're really not supposed to be subtle. They're supposed to be right out there.
It wasn't subtle.
No, I'm not trying to be subtle.
It's just $1.
Well, I was joking on my friends that wanted me to make them CDs.
I know.
Like,
I know.
The blank CD costs more than the song that you want me to put on it. Anyway.
See, Tina, this is what I'm talking about, how we laugh at each other's frustrations.
Yeah.
But since you,
I wasn't even frustrated with him. I
know. But another great episode of what I think is a wonderful season, and even if it's a final two of Joe and Mark the Chicken, it would still be a great season, a good season.
Oh, I forgot to tell y'all this. Mark the Chicken is now to 50-cent wing size. You know how when you go to a restaurant and they're like, 50-cent wing Wednesday, and you go in there and you get these wings that look like they haven't eaten in 6 months because there's barely any meat on them, but hey, they're only 50 cents. Yeah, that's Mark the Chicken. It's 50-cent wing chicken. All right.
Are those the wings that Wes won a wing eating contest with?
Yeah,
that's right.
It must be. It must be. All right, this is the hardest part of the show, saying goodbye. So it's like breaking up, you know? I just hate to do it.
Song.
Yeah, we do. All right, bye, Jeff.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye, David.